Okay, so let's talk about generative AI. It is absolutely everywhere, right? Companies are pouring billions, literally billions of dollars into it, hoping for some kind of revolution. But here's the thing. There's a huge paradox at the center of this gold rush. Despite all the hype and all that cash, most companies are seeing, well, pretty much nothing in return. So what is going on? Let's get into it.
Take a look at this number, 95%. That is just stunning. According to a really recent MIT report about what they're calling the Generative AI Divide, that's the percentage of companies that failed to get any kind of quantifiable return on their AI investments. Think about that. That's not just a few companies missing the mark, that is almost everybody. It begs the question, what is going so wrong?
And this chart really just paints the perfect picture of the problem. You see that big bar on the left? That's an 80% adoption rate. So basically, 4 out of every 5 companies are at least experimenting with AI tools. But then, look at that tiny little bar on the right. Only 5% of all those projects ever actually make it into production. This massive chasm between just playing with AI and actually using it to run the business, well, that's what the report calls the AI gap.
So naturally, this brings us to the most important question of all. If 95% are failing, what in the world is that successful 5% doing that's so different? I mean, what's their secret? Because figuring that out is the key to unlocking what AI can really do.
And here is the big twist. The problem isn't the AI. It's not the models, it's not the algorithms, it's not a lack of computing power, it's not a technology gap at all. It is an approach gap. The real difference between success and failure, it all comes down to the mindset, the entire philosophy a company brings to the table.
This slide right here breaks that down beautifully. See, the MIT report found there are basically 2 kinds of companies. On the left, you have tool-using companies. They treat AI like it's just a new, fancier hammer. But on the right, you have the learning companies. And they don't just use AI, they build entire systems designed to learn with it. It's a fundamental difference.
And that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, the learning gap. This is the real divide. It's not about who has the fanciest tech. It's about the companies that are just static users of a tool versus the ones that create dynamic, living systems that learn, adapt, and get better over time. This is where the real winners are being decided. So, the big question is, how do you get across that gap? Well, the research found 4 key strategies, 4 things that top 5% of successful companies all have in common. These are the practical, real-world steps that turn a money pit AI investment into actual value. All right, here are the 4 keys. 1. They focus on high-value specific problems. 2. They build systems that are actually designed to learn. 3. And this is a big one. They start with their frontline managers, not some central tech lab. And 4. They invest their money in the unglamorous but critical back-end processes. Let's break each of these down. So, number 1, focus. The companies that are winning aren't trying to do everything at once. They pick one narrow, high-value business problem, something like detecting fraud or predicting supply chain hiccups, and they solve that. They care about a clear return on investment, not some flashy tech demo that looks cool but doesn't actually help the business. Okay, the second strategy is all about treating AI not as a tool you just buy and use, but as a system that grows. This diagram shows the feedback loop perfectly. A person gives it a task, the AI does it, a user gives feedback on how it did, and boom, the system learns. The key takeaway here is that the AI actually gets smarter with every single time you use it. Now for number 3, and honestly this one is pretty counterintuitive for a lot of companies. The most successful AI projects, they are not being pushed from the top down by some centralized AI team. As you can see in this pyramid, they're actually built on a foundation of frontline managers. So why? It's because those are the people closest to the real problems, closest to the customers.
And this slide just nails the contrast. The losing strategy is the tech lab that's totally disconnected from the day-to-day reality of the business. The winning strategy? It's bottom-up. It's driven by the managers on the ground, making sure the AI is solving a real problem that actually matters to someone.
And the 4th key is all about where you put your money. What the report found is that half of all AI budgets go to the flashy front-end stuff, marketing, customer-facing apps, but the real payoff, the highest ROI, comes from investing in the back end. We're talking about procurement, supply chain, settlement processes. It's not sexy, but it is where AI creates these massive efficiency gains. Okay, so what happens over time? What happens when some companies get these 4 keys right and others don't? Well, the gap between them doesn't just stay the same. it gets wider. And what's crazy is it widens at an accelerating rate.
This chart right here is probably the most important one we'll look at. It shows that the static companies, the tool users, they just flatline. Their performance doesn't really improve. But the learning companies, their performance curves upward, exponentially. It's because the learning itself compounds, creating this irreversible competitive advantage. The gap just gets bigger and bigger.
And this all leads to a really powerful new idea. In the age of AI, your biggest competitive advantage isn't your algorithm. It's not even your data. It's your organization's ability to learn. You're essentially building what you could call a learning moat around your business, one that your competitors just can't cross. This table really sums up the whole mindset shift you have to make. You've got to go from thinking about individual productivity to thinking about the whole organization's evolution. You move away from isolated little pilot projects to fully integrated feedback loops. The goal isn't just a temporary win, it's a compounding advantage, built on systems that get better every single time you use them.
And I really want to leave you with this thought from the MIT report, because it's so powerful. It says the greatest risk of an AI system isn't that it's wrong, it's that it doesn't learn. The biggest danger isn't that your AI will make a mistake. It's that your organization will fail to learn from that mistake. That just reframes the entire challenge, doesn't it?
So here's the question to take back to your team. It's the most important one you can ask right now. Are you just a tool user, stuck with that 95%? Or are you actually building a learning organization ready to join that top 5%? Because really, the answer to that question is going to define your future.